What if I told you that some of the foods you eat every single morning, the ones you actually believe are good for you, are silently telling your body it's under attack? We're talking about cortisol, your stress hormone. And today, I'm going to show you 7 so-called healthy foods that are quietly spiking it. And most people have no idea. Stay until the end, because that one shocked me personally. Okay, before we get into the list, let's talk about cortisol for just a second, because understanding this hormone is everything. Cortisol is produced by your adrenal glands, and its job is survival. When you're in danger, it spikes. Your heart rate rises, your blood sugar goes up, your body prepares to fight or run. That's great in emergencies. The problem? Food can trigger the exact same response. When cortisol stays elevated chronically, even slightly, it leads to stubborn belly fat that won't budge, poor sleep, brain fog, anxiety, muscle breakdown, and immune suppression. And the cruel irony? Many of the foods linked to this are marketed to us as health foods. Green, clean, organic, natural. Let's expose them one by one.
Fruit juice, even the 100% natural kind. Orange juice, apple juice, green juice from the health store. When you drink juice, you're consuming all the sugar of the fruit with none of the fiber that normally slows it down. That rapid sugar hit spikes your blood glucose. Your body panics. It sees that sugar surge as a mild stressor, and cortisol rises to help manage it. Over time, this creates a blood sugar roller coaster that keeps your stress hormones chronically activated. A 2017 study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that fructose-sweetened beverages increased cortisol production significantly more than glucose-sweetened ones. A glass of OJ contains around 26 grams of sugar, mostly fructose. Compare that to eating one whole orange. Same sugar, but the fiber slows everything down. The difference is enormous for your hormones. Eat the whole fruit, or blend it. Don't juice it. Fiber is your cortisol's best friend.
2. Flavored yogurt, including low-fat versions. Here's one that hits people hard. Yogurt is supposed to be the healthy breakfast, right? Full of probiotics, protein, calcium, a superfood. But look at the label on your average flavored yogurt. Example, a leading brand of strawberry low-fat yogurt has 19 grams of added sugar per serving. That's more than some candy bars. And because it's labeled low-fat, your brain thinks it's virtuous, so you might eat 2. That sugar load triggers the same blood sugar spike we talked about, and then comes the cortisol response. Plus, many low-fat yogurts replace fat with corn syrup or artificial sweeteners, which have their own cortisol-disrupting effects on gut health and the gut-brain axis. Plain Greek yogurt, no flavoring. Add your own berries. You control the sugar. Food 3, granola and healthy breakfast bars. Granola looks like the perfect health food. Oats, nuts, seeds. But most commercial granola is essentially candy held together by oats. We're talking honey, maple syrup, brown rice syrup, and sometimes vegetable oils, all in one bowl. The combination of refined sugars and inflammatory oils creates a 2-pronged cortisol attack. The sugar spikes blood glucose, and certain seed oils can promote low-grade inflammation, which your immune system treats as a threat, triggering the HPA axis and cortisol release. Make your own granola with rolled oats, raw nuts, and just a drizzle of honey, baked low and slow. Or choose a brand with under 5 grams of sugar per serving.
Number 4. Caffeine, especially on an empty stomach. And here's the one I mentioned at the start, the one that personally surprised me. Coffee itself isn't necessarily bad for cortisol. In fact, some research suggests moderate caffeine can be neutral or even beneficial long-term. The problem is when and how we drink it. When you wake up, your cortisol is already naturally at its highest point of the day, called the cortisol awakening response. If you pour caffeine on top of that peak, you're amplifying an already elevated stress response.
And if you drink it on an empty stomach, you get an added blood sugar dip, which cortisol then has to correct. Delay your coffee. Have water and a small protein-rich snack first. Your hormones will thank you.
5. Whole wheat bread and multigrain products. Before you come for me in the comments, hear me out. I'm not saying all bread is bad. I'm saying the bread marketed as whole wheat or multigrain is often not what you think it is. Many commercial whole wheat breads are still made with finely milled flour that has a high glycemic index, almost identical to white bread. The whole grain on the label can refer to just a fraction of the ingredients. And bread made with gluten can trigger a cortisol response in people who have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which is far more common than most people realize. A 2010 study in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry showed that refined grain consumption increased salivary cortisol markers in participants compared to a diet rich in intact whole grains. Intact, meaning the grain hasn't been pulverized into fine flour. Real sourdough made from whole rye or actual stone ground bread behaves completely differently in the body. The fix is look for actual intact grain, visible seeds, dense texture, real sourdough fermented for 12 plus hours, or simply reduce bread consumption and increase resistant starches like legumes and sweet potato. Food 6. Plant-based protein powders. The fitness world loves protein powder, and for good reason. Protein is essential. But many plant-based protein powders are packed with additives that quietly stress your system. Artificial sweeteners, gums, natural flavors, and sometimes heavy metals like lead and cadmium that accumulate in plant proteins. Artificial sweeteners, especially sucralose and aspartame, have been shown to disrupt gut microbiome diversity. And since roughly 70% of your immune system lives in your gut, a disrupted microbiome sends inflammatory signals that activate cortisol. Choose protein powders with minimal ingredients, ideally just protein with no sweeteners or gums. Third-party tested. Or get protein from whole foods, eggs, lentils, Greek yogurt, canned salmon. 7. Dried fruit, nature's candy in disguise. Raisins, dates, dried mango, dried cranberries, these feel healthy because they're natural. But drying fruit concentrates its sugar dramatically while removing the water content that normally makes you feel full. A small handful of raisins, maybe 40 grams, contains over 30 grams of sugar. That's equivalent to a can of soda in terms of glycemic impact. And many dried fruits are coated in extra sugar, or sulfites, which are preservatives that can trigger inflammatory stress responses in sensitive individuals. Think about this. You'd never sit down and eat 60 grapes in one snack, but a small box of raisins, which equals about 60 grapes, is gone in 30 seconds and doesn't trigger the same fullness signal. Your blood sugar spikes, cortisol rises to manage it, then crashes, leaving you craving more sugar an hour later. It's a cycle. The fix? If you love dried fruit, pair it with protein and fat, a few walnuts or some cheese to slow the sugar absorption. Or stick to a small amount of medjool dates, 1 to 2 max, which at least contain fiber and potassium to buffer the impact. So there you have it, 7 foods the health industry would happily sell you every day that are quietly working against your hormones. The key takeaway here isn't to panic and throw out everything in your kitchen. It's about awareness. Cortisol responds to stress, and food is a stressor your body processes every single day. Small swaps made consistently can make a real difference in your energy, your mood, your sleep, and even your body composition. Which food on this list surprised you the most? I read every single one. If this was useful to you, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. And if you want to know the foods that lower cortisol naturally, click in this video and subscribe right now. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of your stress, and your stress will take care of you.